Walk through 9 rooms, collect $500. Despite the modest prize and the ordinary facade, no one has ever reached the final exit. When a college friend warns David to stay away, David brushes it off. He views his friend as an unstable addict whose fear is likely a side effect of withdrawal. To a rational skeptic, a haunted house with a cash payout is just easy money. The first 2 rooms reinforce his confidence. They are filled with the cheap aesthetics of 𝗕𝘃𝗗𝗃 Halloweenisle, sheet ghosts, fake spiderwebs, and animatronic zombies that let out a static growl as he passes. That confidence evaporates at the threshold of room 3. As David reaches for the doorknob, he is hit by a wave of paralyzing dread that drops his heart to his knees. This is the opening move of the trap. The house uses amateurish, laughable decor to lower the victim's psychological guard. It ensures the victim voluntarily drops their defenses before the actual architecture of the house begins to shift. Inside room 3, David encounters a breach of physics. A single chair sits under a dim lamp, casting multiple sharp shadows in conflicting directions. When David looks down, he realizes his own shadow has vanished. He turns to flee, but the door he just used has disappeared. The wood paneling is now seamless. Moving forward is no longer an ambition, it is the only remaining path. Room 4 strips away his remaining senses. It is a darkness so absolute, David cannot see his own hand. He is met with a dead, suffocating silence that swallows the sound of his own heartbeat. An alien hum pierces a void, growing louder as it approaches. When the lights flash for a split second, they reveal nothing. The room is empty, leaving only the anticipation of a threat that remains invisible. David stumbles into room 5, where the house shatters its own dimensions. He finds himself in a sprawling, overgrown forest. From the outside, the building was a suburban house. Inside, the trees extend into an impossible canopy that hides the ceiling. As he navigates the brush, David feels insects landing on his skin. Dozens of mosquitoes begin stinging his arms and crawling across his face. He flails and scratches at his skin, but there are no bugs to be found. He can feel the swarm, but he cannot see it. This phase of the house is designed to unmoor the victim from their own biology. By deleting David's shadow, silencing his heart, and weaponizing his sense of touch, the house forces him to stop trusting his own eyes and ears. In room 6, the house targets his sanity. David confronts a little girl in a white dress, but occupying the same physical space is a towering, hairy beast with the head of a ram. He is forced to process 2 separate dimensions overlapping in a single spot. With no visible exit, David gives in to madness. He falls to his knees and begins clawing at the wood paneling, filing his fingernails down as he etches the number 7 into the wall. The house rewards this break with reality. A physical door materializes exactly where David's broken mind decided the next room should be. David stumbles through the door and finds himself standing in the open air. The house is behind him. He walks to his car and drives home, already planning the shower that will wash away the nightmare. But when he enters his living room, he finds his parents' mutilated bodies smiling at him from the carpet. Behind them, on a wall that was blank moments ago, is a blood-scrawled 8. The haunting is no longer confined to a strange building. The house has weaponized David's own history, replicating his home and his family, specifically to desecrate them. David flees into room 8, where he finds a sobbing duplicate of himself sitting in a chair. The doppelganger is an exact match, down to the voice, begging David not to hurt him. He finds a knife under the chair with a tag from management. As a deafening hum shakes the walls, David tackles his duplicate and plunges the blade into the number 9 embroidered on the twins' chest. The entity demands a complete loss of self. To move forward, David must actively participate in the destruction of his own identity, his family, and his safe spaces. Room 9 is an endless, weightless void. Stripped of his senses and crushed by a suicidal despair, David finally stops fighting. He accepts that he will exist in this darkness forever. A vertical slit of light appears in the blackness.
David walks toward it and finds himself back in the cheap, plastic-decorated lobby where his night began. On the desk sits a white envelope from management. It contains a congratulatory note and $500 in cash. David's mind breaks completely. He laughs hysterically as he leaves the building, and the laughter continues through the entire drive back to his neighborhood. He pulls into his driveway and walks to his front door. Carved freshly into the wood of his own house is the number 10. This diagram shows the house's grid bleeding outward, overriding the surrounding world, and replacing David's neighborhood with its own parasitic architecture. The true terror of the NoEnd House is the absence of a back door. The entity simply expands its boundaries until it replaces the victim's entire universe. David's return home was just the